Alright guys, this is a quick but hopefully easy to follow tutorial on how to set up the AudioSpire dashboard. So first thing I want to mention is that when you purchase the dashboard, you can do it in one of two ways, of course. One is to get it by itself, which comes bundled with the Evolution synthesizer and a few tracks to get you going with some soundscapes. Or the other is to get the entire library that I've put together that's almost 30 years old, and then this dashboard supercharges that so that you can really make use of those soundscapes, which you'll have a hard time running out of choices. Alright, so you'll get an introductory email, and there are instructions to follow along. Now the first thing you want to do is notice that there's a link for those of you that get the library to download the master folder of MP3s. That's a separate deal. It's pretty straightforward. Transfer XL is the one delivering that, so just click on it. It'll download. Once it's finished downloading, you go to your downloads folder and unzip that file. It's a zip folder. Unzip it, or if you're on a Mac, expand it, same thing. And then it's going to say Soundscapes 2025. And soon it'll say 26. But put that folder where you aren't going to lose it, where you know where it is easily, so that when we want to pull it into the dashboard, you know exactly where to find it. You can keep it in downloads, you can put it in documents, or you can put it on your desktop. It's up to you. So, that being said, the next thing is that you were sent the dashboard as an attachment to that email. And if you bought it by itself, you were also given a zip folder that contained it, along with a few tracks. Either way, we want that file downloaded and copied onto your desktop, because it's just an easy place to launch it from. So, that being said, let's say you got that far. You have the file called AudioSpire db-1.html. That's what the dashboard's file name is. Double click it from your desktop, even though it's a web-based app, and it will open your Chrome browser or whichever your default browser is. I would recommend Chrome, but you can use Edge, you can use Firefox, you can use Safari, but it works best in Chrome. So I'm going to share a screen, and we're going to take it from the standpoint of, hold on one second, I'm going to share my entire screen. Go to Advanced, and I'm going to share, alright, entire screen. Well, that's on the front page. Okay, entire screen with the sound optimized. Okay, so I'm going to minimize my zoom window for now. And that's that file. I clicked on this right here. Okay, so it's on your desktop. You just click that file, opens up in your browser, and it looks like this. By default, actually, that mixer isn't shown yet. The way you get it, it's going to open like this, right? I'm going to stretch it. There we go. So what automatically does open in the default is the AudioSpire DB Depot, and this is just the place where when this dashboard has an update, you'll be able to get it right here. If you would like to try the Blue Lotus, you can acquire it by clicking here, and it works great within this dashboard environment. It is an interactive soundscape. And of course there's the Evolution synth that is built into this, but you will need the link. It's in your email instructions. I'm not going to repeat it here just for product security purposes, but just know that if I scroll down, it's there. Right? So, there's that. The thing I'm going to do now is just go through each and every selection along the top here. This is the header. And in this header section, the first thing we see is add URL. Okay, so let's go ahead and put something in here. HTTP. You should copy and paste. It's easier because it's, you know, then you remove user error. But if you know by heart the full address, you can certainly type it in. And I'm going to just very quickly put in something else. And all right, I have something here that I'm working on. It's in very much demo mode, so even though you may pause the video and probably see what I typed in there, it doesn't matter. This is very much not working the way it's supposed to yet. Hold out, get the real deal. But let's just say, boom. So this is a new ambient synthesizer that I'm working on. I'm just bringing it in here just to show you that you can use this to bring in web pages, because this is a web-based ambient synthesizer. And you might hear that. Pretty cool. All right, I'm going to close it again. That's what that does. One other thing I could do, HTTPS, is hypnosismeditationmusic.com. Just demonstrating how I can pull in. Oh, if I typed it correctly, it would have pulled in. Hold on a second. I'm going to grab it the way I suggested doing it, which is just to type it in. Type it in. I mean, I'm sorry, copy and paste it. All right. Here we are in the dashboard. Much easier. Removes user error. You see that? Okay. So the point is that you can pull in basic websites using this, and then you can, the window can be whatever size you want. And your website for your business is probably able to open in here. I can't guarantee that. It's just, it'll allow simple web pages to load. It won't do Facebook. It won't do Google stuff. It's too much security. I built it this way so that the ambient synthesizers and basic pages could load. And so you'll find that yours probably loads if you have a hypnotherapy website or something. All right, so there's that function. Next, you see a local. Now, that hasn't got much to do with using this window. It's just you just click right on it. Local opens a library window. And in this case, you can load audio, video, and images. Not of every single format, but the most common. And so I'm going to hit Import Folder, and I'm going to navigate to where I know my Soundscapes library is. There we go, Soundscapes 2025. There it is. It says upload, yes. Look at that. I can decide I want this big, I want this small. That's entirely up to you. And you just click on any one of these by the view play. Since these are audio, they do not work in a slideshow. If they were video or images, they would. And even then, it's really, slideshow is best for images if you want to do that. Otherwise, let's just go with Serene Explorations. I've just opened that, and you'll hear that coming on in a minute. And so we're going to go ahead and let that play. You can control the volume here if you want, but in a few moments we'll show you the mixer, and you can use that to control the volume of this as well. So, letting that kind of play in the background. If I want to open another local window, I can. And then anything else I have that I'd like to share, bring into this workspace, the dashboard, I can. Now this could be video, it can be pictures, it can be MP3 files. I'm going to close that because, right, for our purposes, I don't have anything else I need to load. Here is the note very straightforward. I can change whatever size I want the window to be, right? Let's just go here. I like to kind of keep things a little bit in the organized fashion here. And of course I can copy and paste in here an imagery script or client notes or anything I want, or I can just put, you know, I meant to hit random, oh boy, random notes, you know. You can use this for any note-taking purpose, but I like it for putting an imagery script or at least notes that you want to remember, points along the way that you want to remember if you're doing imagery or if you're going to record doing a guided imagery over the music. You can just read it right there. All right, so let's go ahead and close that for now. Here's a basic, and when I say basic, I mean it's pretty basic, but it just reminds you of what the basic functions that I'm going over right now are. So if you forget, boom, just go ahead and look at that. I'm working, and you see this little space in between there, here, and here, question mark at the save button. I'm working on a version that has an AI button, and it's getting there, but right now my AI assistant is still pretty dumb. So I'm still working on getting him updated so that will be an extra feature to help you guys with questions. Ultimately, you'll be able to ask it questions of like, hey, I have a client who needs some sleep enhancement hypnosis, and I want to use the best music, and then it'll give you the best suggestions for them. Here we go with the ability to load a template. So right now we've just been working off of default, and then I've been adding things here, but I've got the ability to bring up, let's say, this right here. Look, obviously I changed to a totally different template. My music stops because it's going to something entirely different here. This is if I want to do like all of my synthesizers all at once. I'll come back to that. Here's a standard layout. This is still the kind of layout that I recommend you guys do. Here we go with Soundscapes folder into the library again. You notice I don't have to go up here to load these things when I'm opening up a saved preset, because I've already done so. It remembers what I had open. And so you can save. Hit, you name whatever you want and hit save right there. Okay. So let me continue on. Let's say I did have some music playing. Let's cut back into the song. You see that? Just, if you had a reason to, you had a lot of stuff going on, you could mute all of the audio, and that could be useful. Now, right now, it will only mute the microphone and library audio. It will not mute synthesizer audio. You would have to do that separately. Little things we're working along the way to enhance and improve, but for now, that's how that goes. All right. Now, here finally is the mixer console. I'm going to save that for last, but that's what that button opens, is the mixer console, okay? But real quick, if I want to change the theme, look at that. I could change the background to whatever color I need. Let's say I like that big bright green. And then for the header, I could change that color. Look at that, nice vibrant blue, right? And this face effects, it's just a slider that changes the effect of the contour look. So it's kind of like a brushed metal or you know, rounded wood, or it depends on the color. It kind of gives you different impressions. So that's just, you can do that, just, you know, come up with what you like, and each template that you save can have a different look to it. And so that's kind of fun. Over here, I'm going to bring this darker. It's easier for you to see this other feature. Okay, I can change from bars in my visualizer or the waveform, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, that's entirely up to you. You can choose how much dynamic visualizing there is. Like if I do it with bars, sometimes it's a little over the top there, right? But sometimes with wave, you want to bring a little bit more signal strength in there so you can see it better. That's all that is. You could change the color of that signal line. Look at that, right? I can, if I don't want one color, I can just hit cycle, and now it's just going to run through and change colors on a cycle. And let's go to power so you can see it better. Pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and open up that mixer. Here we go. So basically right here for channel 1, that's what we want to work with to get the microphone going. And here in the next one is library audio. So that's where I can completely pull out the volume of the soundscape that's playing and put it back up. You know, that's right there. Same with the microphone. I can get louder, right? And then these two also function, and you know, there is a possibility of using these even right now to run the synthesizer audio through. It's just too tricky for me to recommend right now. I'm working on a way to fix that, make it nice and easy. And when that update happens, I will inform you guys and update the tutorial. But for now, don't worry about these so much. All right, a noise gate. This noise gate is applied to any of these channels. So let's pull this down. In fact, let me go ahead and pause the music. When this is down, you hear kind of some background noise, computer fans and all kinds of little noise back there. And when I bring this in, it starts to reduce that. And there's fine tuning effects here, or parameters rather. So attack is how quickly that noise gate is applied, and release is how quickly it lets go. I like to use settings somewhere around here where the attack is not immediate, but it's pretty quick because it's softer than just immediately kicking in. Release lets it kind of gives it a tail. Otherwise, it can be an abrupt cutoff. And so you want it to sound natural. And threshold, if I brought it all the way down, then it's allowing everything through. But if I raise it up, now it's starting to cut out that noise in the background. All right. And it applies also to anything played through the media, but since there's typically no noise on that, you won't really hear much of an effect. So then over here, this is the big stuff. All the other effects down here only audibly show up when you raise the effects send. Okay? So I'm going to start with reverb. And I like to at least interact with all the knobs first because sometimes it's like they need to wake up a little bit. All right, so let's go pretty full on how much. Wet is a lot, dry is a little. Okay, so I'm going to put on a good amount of that. Pretty intense. Let's do a decent room size. Okay, so that's ready to go, but you're not going to hear it until I start to bring it in. There it is. I am Mr. Echo. And so let me bring this back down, right? So you see how it responds pretty quickly. And you don't want to go too far, or else you sound like you're in a cavern way far away. So you find that sweet spot. Now, over here with delay, it's a similar effect. Let me go ahead and bring this down a little bit. Same thing, interact with all your, especially feedback, because, you know, feedback is typically kind of noisy. No, but it's just a quirk. I want you to interact with that first, otherwise it's going to give you a nasty noise. So, bring up my wet level. You start to hear that delay. You start to hear that delay. You start to hear that delay. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, you see how that can be useful for certain phrases or suggestions if you want to highlight them by saying, "You are awesome. You are awesome. You are awesome. Very awesome. Very awesome. Very awesome." And then back to whatever. You can, let's bring, there we go. more reverb in and go back to using this, you are excellent. Very excellent. So you got to play with those levels to get it where it's what you want it to sound like. Okay. Auto pan, let's just demonstrate this really quickly. This is where it bounces from left to right. And so if I apply it pretty full and I continue to talk, you'll hear that it bounces from one side to the other side. Okay, you can do that. It'll apply itself to the music too if you had it going and you brought it in over here. All right, let me back that off. Chorus, same thing. Let's interact with those knobs real quick. Let's bring the wet level up. Intensity fairly there. Width, nice. There we go. You might start to hear kind of a wobble. Let me get, there we go. Easier to hear with no reverb. Yeah. Okay. So you get to play with that and have some fun. Finally, we have a compressor. Now what this is, it just kind of levels out all of your audio signals. So there we go. What you don't want is too much dynamic activity. So if it serves your purposes, you can use this to flatten out. You know, maybe you're moving back and forth away from the mic because you're one of the people that's very animated when you talk. This is a useful effect. It kind of just flattens out the peaks and valleys. You don't want to overuse it because then it's too flat and it just sounds kind of not so good. All right, so I just use a little bit. Finally down here, look at this. We have an EQ, and this will apply to anything running through here. And I can be ultra bassy, or back it off where I like to have it here. I can be real nasally. Point is, you can contour to get the right sound for your microphone or for your purposes, what sounds good to you. All right, now you see this fancy record button. It's going to record anything that you run through here that the mixer actually hears. In this case, it's going to be any audio, video coming from the library and anything coming through this microphone. And so you could be playing a soundscape. Let's pick Solar Infusion here real quick. Let me just jump into it. All right, there we are. Add a little reverb, right? Now, I'm going to bring down the audio. There we go. Find a nice level. And I'm going to hit the record button, and guess what? I would stop, obviously, I would start, rather, with silence and let the music come in, and then start my hypnosis or ammetry over it. And then, so let's just do this. You can see how it's blinking. It lets you know that it's recording, okay? I hit stop. It automatically goes. There we go. Get that reverb off there. It automatically goes into your downloads folder. Now it's a specific format. What I would suggest is you can double click it and listen to it. And then I'll suggest it maybe in an addendum. There are a couple free programs that you can convert the audio that it records into MP3, WAV file, just whatever you need. Alright, so that covers most of the functions. The only thing left is showing you this synthesizer, which I'm just going to get a little bit into it. This is more about just like play with it and you'll learn things as you go. But here, this scope, right? That's just how much of that signal you want to see. Same thing here, you can change the color of it. Let's go with that. And up here, I have strings, voice, nylon, new age, choir, halo, and atmosphere. Okay, it's just 7 different sound choices. And strings is, I think, the most flexible, the most useful one. So here we go, you hear that? If I click the little spot there, little green light comes on, that means it's now going to loop. Look at that. And if I put extra hold, that makes it extra stretched out. And it's just gonna go on a loop. And then I can, of course, go over here and do a bassier tone. Okay, that'll kick in and start looping. I have reverb on the module itself. Okay, I like to, same thing, I wake them up by clicking on them. Boom. Let's get some full reverb on there. Same thing with some delay. Just really stretch this out. Right? It starts building up. Okay. So, you know, it's a lot of fun. Okay. You can just keep building on it. And what I like about this is it's one of those things where you can build it just a nice template and start getting into a nice meditative feeling around it. But it's good in combination with other things, such as, let me hit stop all those sounds, okay? Let's pick Serene Explorations right here, okay? I'm gonna just jump into it. Gotta go to my mixer and bring up the volume on it, okay? There we go. And now I have to guess what key it's in. Let's see. So it's in D. All right. Now what can I do here? I can use this synthesizer to give accents. Play around with it, you'll start to figure out how this works. Now, you might have a suggestion coming up, and instead of using your voice to add some delay or something like that, you can use the synthesizer just as a highlight, just to add a little bit of the spice, as I like to call it. So it's another way of delivering like a finger snap. All right, I'm going to show you one more template. Just go right over to Dual Evolution. Here we go. Dual Evolution. Look at that. I'm not even going to get too far into this. Let you experiment. Just showing you. You can pull two of these in there. Give this one string voice. Give this one, let's say, the nylon string voice. You can start overlaying one upon the other and get some fascinating soundscape activity going. So there is that. Let me just go ahead and back to the default. So again, when you open it up, this is what you're going to see, and it's just up to you. You know, you decide what it should look like, what the layouts should look like. It's a workspace that, yes, the foremost intention is for hypnotherapists that want to utilize soundscapes, meditative type audio, hypnotic audio, along with their voice in such a way that's captivating and soothing, and ultimately you to record these things. But the final step is what? On Zoom, okay? When you have VB cables installed, let me go ahead and stop share for a second here. VB cables, yes. When you install that, once you install it, it's done. You don't have to configure it, okay? I'm going to show you, and just take a good look at it. I'm going to share the screen again. I'm going to show you the website. It's a free thing to download. Right here. This, so just take a look at that address right there. You should have that in your email already. And I know it's a little complex to like look around here and be like, well, which one am I doing? This right here is what you're concerned with, this section right here, okay? So you either have a PC or you have a Mac, and you just want to download, and here, get the new package, okay, right here. And over here, you download the Mac one. And then open it, do like you would any other program. You just open it on the computer, and that's what's great. Once it's open, it's done. You don't have to do anything else. You can minimize it, close it, whatever. It's going to run now as an option in the background after that. And so when you're on a Mac, we have system settings. And so you want to become familiar with going there and going to sound. And you have input and you have output, right? For a Mac, VB cable should be your input when you're working with the dashboard and Zoom and Tandem. Okay, your source is now VB cable, because that VB cable, it's a virtual audio patch, and so it's carrying the signal from the dashboard to talk to your headphones and Zoom, so everybody and yourself, you can hear it and so on. Output, on this one, we're doing the multi-output device, okay? And that's the one other thing that people on Mac are going to want to know. So you're going to want to open up this audio MIDI setup, okay? You just put it in the search in your Mac and it'll show up. You open it and you click down here to multi-output device, and it's going to say what output devices do you want to use. You click VB cable, you click external headphones. You should have them plugged in, or else I won't see that you're trying to use them, okay? That's what tells the computer where to send the audio to more than one place. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right, minimizing that. You guys got that? Next thing I'm going to do is pull up the Zoom window. Here we go. So let's minimize this. Okay. And so it's a little tough to show you what I need to show you with this share at the same time, but anyway, I'll describe it. When you go to your audio input, you have select a microphone. Everybody sees that every time they log on here. And usually it's your webcam or some other microphone that you have. What you want to select instead is VB cable, is your microphone source. That way it's going to take everything from the dashboard. It's basically, it might as well say dashboard instead of VB cable. And then the other is just select a speaker. On Mac, it's going to be multi-output device. Okay. On a PC, it's going to be VB cable or external headphone. Okay. So let me go ahead and minimize that. All right. That is the sum total of the basic tutorial how to get this thing set up. I recognize there will still be some hang-ups for certain people, and that's fine. You can just email me and we'll arrange to get you set up and walk you through it. But hopefully this gets you farther along and or gets you 100% going. All right? And just realize you could use this dashboard for so many things. Each template that you save can be a configuration, a workspace that serves you for creative endeavors for different clients. You can have, like, you know, John Smith is one client, Janet Simpson is another client, and they have different client notes and different music that in the notes you're like, oh, this person liked and responded well last time to this one, or anything you need to put in there. And of course you can use it for other things. It's not bound to the realm of therapy, so you can use it for creative writing and for just, you name it. Okay, so have fun, experiment with it, and there's just going to be a lot more stuff coming up. So every time you open it, you'll see that AudioSpire DB depot there. Anything new that will be fun and interesting, especially the new ambient synths I'm creating, are going to show up there. And those of you that have already gotten Blue Lotus already know that that one's a lot of fun. And so that one's available. And I'm working on the Amber Sphere, and I have some other ones coming. So stay tuned, and hopefully this was helpful. Thanks a lot, guys.